Good afternoon, folks. So I've been given 35 minutes. Let me make the most of that time. And I'm aware a few of you are still filing in. But let me set the structure out at the outset, right? I'm going to talk about two different PMSs that we run. One is called Consistent Compounders, and the second is called Little Champs, right? But the philosophy behind them is actually very similar, a very similar philosophy. And the philosophy basically is this. It's a three-part philosophy. Step one, look for companies with clean accounts, right? So we are specialists in forensic accounting. A big part of our life is looking for accounting fraud. And our experience in India over the last 10 years suggests that something like 80% of listed companies' numbers are suspect, right? So we'll go through a bit of accounting fraud. We'll tell you how we do it. Second thing is, beyond accounting fraud, look for companies who allocate capital conservatively. So what do I mean by that? Conservative capital allocation is when you generate free cash from a business, put it back in the same business. Don't go and buy a football club or a cricket club or a company in Australia with it. Put the money back in the same business, grow the business consistently, right? And the third thing is, over and above clean accounts and sensible capital allocation, look for companies with Himalayan barriers to entry. Barriers to entry so high that nobody in their right mind can come and touch the franchise, right? I'll try to give a couple of examples in the time that I've been given, right? So let's start with consistent compounders, and we'll also apply this philosophy to Little Champs, which is our sub BSE 500 product. Consistent compounders is for the BSE 500, Little Champs is for the world below the BSE 500, right? So step one is accounting fraud. And what we do is, and this is outlined in my book, Unusual Billionaires, chapter 10 is the chapter on accounting fraud. So my colleagues and I, the folks at Marcellus, we migrated to India. We migrated to India in 2008. We used to do just this in the UK. We sold our company in the UK and we moved to India in 2008. And when we started traveling around India in 08, 09, to our astonishment, we realized that most listed entities' numbers are largely made up. Made up in the sense, at a very practical level, if you see, for instance, the Nifty, you'll see 70% of Nifty companies haven't generated 1 rupee of free cash flow in the last 10 years, right? And yet, if you see the promoter's life, there is no shortage of cash. So in the annual report for the minority shareholder, there's no cash flow, but the promoter obviously in his personal life has no shortage of cash. And at a very intuitive level, you can see that some of the largest, most famous companies in our country, the numbers are largely fabricated. So in 2009, we did a fraud yatra around the country. Right? We basically identified the 50 most fraudulent companies in the BSE 500, and we went and met them. We were a little younger then. I had a little bit more hair on my head. And we told these promoters that, look, we're new to the country, but basis reading your annual report, sir, we think you're taking money out of the business in A, B, and C places, right? And to the immense credit of these promoters, and I'm talking about 2008, 2009, right? Many of you will remember what the environment in India was in 2009. To the immense credit of these promoters, they said that, look, you're new to the country. That's why you think we're taking money out in 3 places. Actually, we are taking money out of the business in 6 different places. So, why don't you take a seat and we'll take you through how we take money out of the business. So basis the knowledge given by the leading fraudsters of 2009, many of them, unfortunately, either are in CDR or they're on the run from the law, but they're very generous with sharing the knowledge on how you can steal money from the listed world. We created a fraud machine. The fraud machine is listed there. The fraud ratios are shown up on the screen. So for example, let me take a simple ratio. Let's take there is a ratio number 7, right? So each of these ratios is a trap, right? So what we have done is basically created 10 accounting traps. Every year in December, we apply these accounting traps on the top 1,500 stocks in India, and we use the last 7 years of accounts to see how many traps a listed entity fails. The more traps a company fails, the more the chori in the business, the less interested we are in investing in the firm. So let's take ratio number 7, very simple ratio, growth in auditors' fees divided by growth in revenues. So if you find a company, and there are several prominent companies, where over the last 6-7 years, the auditors' fees consistently grow faster than their top line does, right? And I'm sort of trying to figure out how much detail to give, given the number of you in the room. So let me use an example without giving the name of the company. So back in 2009, my second year in India, a leading capital goods company, offices in Century Bazaar, they have a high rise in Century Bazaar. A leading capital goods company failed this test. Their audit fees were growing twice as fast as their revenues. So I went to see the promoter G, and I said, Promoter G, you're paying your auditor 13 crores a year. L&T has the same auditor, and they pay them 4 crores a year. And L&T is 10 times bigger than you, Promoter G. So, why this generosity to your auditor? So the promoter is a Doon School guy, so he, blabbed something about world-class corporate governance, best practices, etc. So I said, very interesting, sir, very interesting, all this stuff about corporate governance. Let's go through your annual report and let's look how many places in your annual report you're taking money out of the business. So for instance, we talked him through how his listed entity was paying the promoter entity the best part of 50 crores a year for private jet hire. So the listed entity was renting private jets from the promoter. So I said, so why doesn't the listed entity buy the private jet itself and depreciate it over 5 years? It won't cost the listed entity 50 crores a year, and it will own a capital asset. It will own the private jet. Or if you don't want to buy it on the listed entity, you can fly first class. You can go to London every morning in first class and come back every evening. It's not going to cost 50 crores a year, right? And we took him through, the transparent ways he was taking money out of the business. So obviously he got very upset and he left the room in a huff. He's on the run from the enforcement directorate at the moment, so we don't have to worry so much about him. But his CFO then said to me that, look, can I resign before you make this public? So I said, why will you resign? I mean, you're doing what you're told. Your boss has told you to cook the books. You're doing as instructed. Feel free to continue. I just wanted to understand whether your company is an investable company. Back 10 years ago, this capital goods company was a favorite of Indian fund managers. Every damn mutual fund used to have this company in it. Right? I wanted to understand whether this company is investment worthy. Promoter G's answered the question, so don't worry. But the CFO, bless him, was a smart guy. 2 weeks later, he sold all his stock. A month later, he resigned. That was the all-time high on the share price. The company's corrected 95% since then. So there are numerous such examples. If we could do a proper 3-hour session on accounting fraud with you guys, but I think Motilal Oswal might never invite me again after that. Anyway, so step 1 is to use this fraud machine. I stress again, chapter 10 of Unusual Billionaires will give you more color on this. If you do nothing else in India, just specialize in accounting fraud, you will make lots of money, right? It's actually the biggest risk in the Indian market, rampant accounting fraud from the most prominent companies in the land on a scale which is mind-boggling, right? What this machine tells us is that in the BSE 500, there are roughly 70 companies whose books are believable, whose books are clean, right? So that's 70 companies is our starting point for consistent compounders. So through 2010, 2011, we met these companies, right? And meeting them, I realized there's a second challenge. The second challenge with many of these firms is, whilst they are clean, these 70-odd companies, they're clean, in many cases, the promoters' hunger for compounding the business is lost because the promoters made so much wealth, several $1 billion, the promoters now focused more on philanthropy rather than running the business, right? So we were left with a struggle. We were finding clean but complacent companies, and we were finding hungry but corrupt, people who failed this paradigm. Clean but complacent, hungry but corrupt. We weren't finding clean and hungry. Right? It was a real sort of dilemma for 2-3 years. A lot of my friends told me that, look, you won't find clean and hungry in India. Migrate back to UK. You won't find clean and hungry in India. And I'm glad to say they were wrong. We found clean and hungry companies, and we found them using a very simple. Formula. Here's the formula. Basically, what we have in our country is quite extraordinary. For every single product which is essential for day-to-day life in India, either one company or 2 companies account for 85% of the profits generated from that product, right? So for instance, if you take biscuits, Britannia dominates high-end, Parle dominates low-end. Between Britannia and Parle, they account for 85% of the biscuit market, right? You go to a supermarket, you'll see Britannia is the high-end monopolist, Parle is the low-end monopolist, and the two companies together have a hammer lock on the biscuit market. Each of the two families are worth billions of dollars. Ditto in cooking oil, Marico and Adani. Ditto in hair oil, Marico and Bajaj Corp. Ditto in paint, Asian and Berger. Trucks, cars, truck tires, car tires, air compressors, Alifactor. Means two-player monopolies are everywhere in our country. Even more fascinatingly, our country has several one-player monopolies. One player, entire sector profits uska. Cigarettes, one player. Baby milk powder, one player. Nestle, adhesives, one player. Pidilite, waterproofing, one player. Pidilite, glass-lined vessels, one player. GMM Pfaudler, etc., right? The point I'm driving at is, we are a unique country. We are a country where you have around 25 monopolists who dominate basically the world you and I live in. Upar se lagta hai there's lots of competition, but actually ours is the most monopolized large economy in the world. And these 25 monopolists, their average return on capital is 45%, right? So look at the paradox of India, same country, Nifty 50 mein, 50 में से 35 promoters, 35 out of 50, can't even generate a return on capital in above their cost of capital once in the last 10 years. That's our benchmark. 50 में से 35 can't generate an ROC above their cost of capital once in 10 years. And on the other hand, same country, 25 families who generate 45% ROC every year. There is no precedent for this in the world. And the reason this can help you make a lot of money is as follows. For any company, right, whether it's Marcellus, whether it's Motilal Oswal, whether it is Murugappa, any company, the gap between return on capital and cost of capital, by definition, this gap is free cash flow. And if your return on capital is 45, assume your cost of capital is 15, right? It's probably less, but let's simplify 15. 45 minus 15, 30% of capital employed is your annual free cash flow generation. We're talking about giant franchises here. We're talking ITC, Nestle, Britannia, Asian Paints, Marico, Pidilite. 45 minus 15, 30% of capital employed is your annual free cash flow generation. That means in 3 years, you return to your shareholders the entire capital invested in the dhanda. And if you reinvest that capital back into the business, every 3 to 5 years, you double the size of the business. And if you look back at India over the last 30 years, that's exactly what's happened. For these sorts of franchises, monopoly franchises, it has not made any difference to them. Who's running the country, who's running RBI, GDP growth kya hai, inflation kya hai, America ka president kaun hai. This is irrelevant stuff for them. They make massive amounts of cash flow. They reinvest it back into the business. And the business doubles. Either in 3 years, Asian Paints, for example, doubles every 3 years. Nestle doubles every 5 years. Pidilite doubles every 4 years. Relaxo doubles every 4 years or so. Right? Every 3 to 5 years, this business is double. 10 साल में आपको 10 साल में 8 से 10 गुना return मिलता है. Right? Very, very simple formula. Right? Now, if I just simplify it further, right? Let me just go back one. Yeah. So there are 2 ways you guys can invest in this. One way is to simply buy my book, Coffee Can Investing. It's easily available on Amazon. It costs, I think, 200 or 250 rupees. I'll make 20 rupees if you buy it, right? So I'll make it, plus this being India, the pirated copy is easily downloadable. Actually, ironically, if you put Coffee Can Investing in Google, पहले आपको pirated copy दिखती है, फिर Amazon का copy दिखता है, right? So you can buy Coffee Can Investing. What I've said there is the simplest way you can build your own cash machines ka portfolio, your own portfolio of these monopolists is look for companies who satisfy 2 simple rules. Pehla rule is you need to look for companies whose revenue growth is a minimum of 10% every year, 10 consecutive years. Right? 10% revenue growth har saal, 10 saal lagatar. Not CAGR, har saal 10%. And second thing is you need companies whose ROC is a minimum of 15% every year, 10 saal lagatar. Right? 10% revenue growth, 15% ROC, 10 saal lagatar. In Coffee Can Investing, we've shown barely 15 companies pass this test. And if you invest in all 15, remember, no dimag, just a simple filter. Invest in all 15, you'll compound at a minimum of 20%, and the volatility of your portfolio will be lower than a Government of India bond. Right? Easy system, no dimag, no fund manager, no fees, good compounding yourself. Right? All that we do in our consistent compounder portfolio is, rather than buying all 15 in equal measure, we skew the portfolio. We tilt the portfolio towards companies who not only pass these filters, but who are effectively running a monopoly. Public thinks they're running a competitive business, but actually mein monopoly hai, right? So let me use as an example the business in my portfolio which is closest to where I'm standing. Let me use Asian Paints, right? So if you see that little slide on the top, what I've tried to show there is Asian Paints is the only business in the history of the planet. Asian Paints is the only business in the history of the planet which has grown revenues at 20% per annum for 6 decades now, right? 1952 से आज तक ऐसा हो रहा था, right? By the way, they probably grew it at 20% between 42 to 52, but they said वो data गुम गया है, and I sort of forgive them. 42 to 52 data रखा नहीं. I think it's a easily forgivable lapse. But more interestingly, look at the solid black line. The solid black line is the PBT margin. देखिए क्या हो रहा है PBT margin में 50 साल से. And then the dashed line is the ROC. 30 years से ऊपर जा रहा है. Company went public in 1982. From 82 to today, they've given a return of 1,800 times. 28% CAGR. Forget the CAGR. Business doubles in size every 3 years. In fact, last 1.5 years, mein business double hua hai. But typically, if you take the last 30-year history, business doubles every 3 years. Promoters are worth $12 billion roughly. Minority shareholders are worth $10 billion roughly, right? Now, the question is, how do they make so much money? So when I came to India in 2008, I honestly couldn't figure this out. I thought, yaar, ye iPhone to bana nahi raha, paint bana raha hai. How can he make so much money? So I asked the other fund managers in Bombay, and they said, ye bahut easy hai. Inka brand bahut acha hai, and they have economies of scale. So I thought, oh my God, some great truth has been revealed to me. I went and told 5 people, did you know Asian Paints had great brand and economies of scale? And then that's the way it stayed till May 2014. I got back home from work one day, and our house was being painted. For reasons we can discuss later, I don't do the capital allocation at home. Somebody else does that. So I had to show the painter, I'm the boss. So I said, kya paint laga rahe ho? And he said, मैं लगा रहा हूँ Dulux का Velvet Touch. मैंने बोला, ये तो गलत कर रहे हो बॉस. Dulux return on capital is only 16%. So तुरंत बंद कर दो. Painter said, नहीं, यही best paint है इंडिया में. So my colleague Rakshit Ranjan, he's our fund manager. He's also an IIT Delhi chemical engineer. So to recover my pride, I called Rakshit and says, is this guy right? Is Dulux the best paint? And Rakshit's a Punjabi from Pritampura. So he said in very blunt language, Saurabh, kabhi tin dekh liya karo. Look at the ingredients. Look at the science, the chemistry. This is a ICI product. It's a world-class product. No Indian company can produce this sort of chemistry. I said, lekin hamara champ Asian Paints. He said, Saurabh, Asian Paints R&D spend as a percentage of revenues is 0.3%. The chemistry is very basic. 4 घंटे में गमले में बना के तुमको दे दूंगा. So that night I realized that I can read Warren Buffett till I go blind. इंडिया में कोई पैसा नहीं कमा पाऊंगा Warren Buffett पढ़ के. If you read Warren Buffett, you read American books, you will buy Akzo Nobel because brand is great, Dulux, science is world class, IIT IIM के बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं, काम कर रहे हैं सॉरी वहाँ पे, right? बिल्कुल perfect है. Akzo Nobel ticks every Western paradigm. आप सेट क्लारमन पढ़ो, वॉरेन बफेट पढ़ो, माइकल मोबुसन पढ़ो, जाके एक्सो नोबल खरीदो, कंपाउंडिंग मजा नहीं आएगा. पैसा कमाने के लिए आपको एशियन पेंट्स लेना पड़ेगा. लेकिन हर एशियन पेंट्स, हाउ डज ही मेक सो मच मनी? द प्रोडक्ट इजंट ग्रेट, R&D spend is not great, right? So it took us 2 years to figure it out, and in the process, that journey of figuring out why Asian Paints makes this insane amounts of wealth, we ended up writing our second book, The Unusual Billionaires. We named the book in honor, in memory, in celebration of the genius who gave us, and I think who gave the country, the paradigm for insane wealth creation, right? If you ask some of the greatest promoters in India, they will tell you they've modeled their lives basis Champak Lal Choksi's life. He is the original unusual billionaire, the original founder promoter of Asian Paints, right? So here is what Choksi ji did. And there's a lot to learn. Chapter 2 of my book, Unusual Billionaires, will tell you more about it. And he built a money machine which I don't think can be surpassed. Till 1969, paint was sold like an FMCG product. So you would first advertise it, then you would have a wholesaler for Bombay, a distributor for, say, Kalina, and a dealer for the area near the Grand Hyatt, right? So wholesaler, distributor, dealer, classic FMCG paradigm. In 69, Choksi ji called up his wholesalers and distributors and said, you guys clear out, I don't need you. I will sell direct to the dealer in Kalina. सीधा factory से dealer के पास paint जाएगा. The dealers protested. Dealers said, Sir ji, you're giving us 3 rupees a litre. Our shops are small, so we don't have the space to keep so much paint. And even if we had the space, we don't have the money to hold on to so much inventory. So the dealer's request to Choksi ji was, keep the distributor storage or financing karega, hum maal becenge, world will be perfect, right? If you get a chance to read Unusual Billionaires, you'll realize at the heart of all the great money machines in India lies a non-linear insight. That's what my next book is about, right? At the heart of all the great money machines in India lies a non-linear insight, which at that time looks like pure madness. And 30 years later looks like undiluted genius. Choksi's genius moment was 69. He told the distributor, you get out, you're taking 20% margin, I'm not going to give you that, out. And he told the dealer, what I'll do for you, Mr. Dealer, is every 3 hours, I will replenish your inventory. You don't have to stock it. Every 3 hours, my truck will come and replenish your inventory. People in Bombay said, this is crazy. Every 3 hours means 4 times a day. You already have 40,000 dealers. How on earth will you deliver 1.6 lakh times a day? Right? In the remaining 28 years of his life, what this man built is so powerful that today, 22 years after his death, nobody in their right mind can even think about competing with the folks in Asian Paints across the road. सोच भी नहीं सकता कोई compete करने के लिए. क्यों ऐसा क्यों है? क्या बनाया इंसान ने? 4 चीजें की है. Paint is the only product in our country which goes straight from the factory to the dealership near your house. So यहाँ पे कलीना में paint आ रहा है सीधा अंकलेश्वर से. There is no intermediary in between. Paint is the only product which gets restocked at the dealership near your house 4 times a day, 28 times a week. Everything else you and I buy gets restocked once, maximum twice. Biscuit, soap, shampoo. हफ्ते में twice ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा. Asian Paints is the only firm in India which takes home 97% of the MRP. Right? 3% goes to the dealer. Every other company in India, every other product in India, 30 to 40% MRP goes to the channel and 60% goes to the manufacturer. 60 for everybody else, 97 for Asian Paints. And the fourth uniqueness, and this is the barrier to entry, today they have around 70,000 dealers, 4 times a day. They're delivering anywhere between 2.5 to 3 lakh times a day. Right? This company delivers paint 2.5 to 3 lakh times a day. The number 2 player, Berger, delivers 40,000 times a day. Number 3, Akzo, delivers 10,000 times a day. Forget paint, there is no company in any product in any sector in India which can deliver even 10,000 times a week. Forget Din Mein 2.5 lakh. Right? How does Asian Paints do it? How can they deliver with such frequency in a country where infrastructure isn't the greatest, right? The answer in one word is technology, right? In 1970, Champak-Lal Choksi spent 8 crore rupees buying the first supercomputer in India. 10 years before ISRO or IIT Bombay, 21 years before any other Indian conglomerate. If you ask any SAP consultant in the world today, the world's finest ERP implementation is not Amazon, it is Asian Paints. What they have done in simple English is this. For every neighborhood in India, for every hour of the day, for 50 years, they've collected data on what colors are selling, what quantities are selling, what tin sizes are selling. This mountain of data is their money machine. And this mountain of data is why the smartest people in the paint industry say nobody in their right mind should think about competing with Asian Paints. Right? What they do, and I'll explain in simple terms and then we'll move on to little champs, is this. If we go to the local dealer in Kalina and we ask him, देखिए sir, शाम को 8 बजे, what will you be selling in Kalina? The dealer will say, boss, I have no idea. मैं बैठ के I'm watching something on my Jio free phone. I don't have time to figure out क्या बिकेगा. The Asian Paint truck comes every 3 hours. जो भी माल उतार के जाते हैं 3 घंटे में बिक जाती है, right? So we'll say our dealer, he doesn't know much about these things. Let's go and meet the area sales manager. But if we ask her, what will you sell in Bombay tomorrow? She'll say, how am I supposed to know? As you know, 120 dealerships, 4 shifts, 480 times they will be selling paint tomorrow. She'll say, what happens is early in the morning, 4 a.m., I'll get an email in my inbox saying ये घाटकोपर ईस्ट की लोडिंग है, ये घाटकोपर वेस्ट की लोडिंग है, ये मालाबार हिल की लोडिंग है, ये वालकेश्वर की लोडिंग है. And she basically just follows the automated email which tells her what is the loading schedule for the day. If you go to the Ankleshwar factory, the production manager will tell you the same thing. Early in the morning, he gets his production schedule for the day. The procurement manager will tell you the same thing. If we go across the road, if they let us in across the road, if we ask them that, say, on 27th April, in Pune, in Viman Nagar, at 5 p.m., what will you sell? They can tell us right now with 98% accuracy. Right? That is the power of what they've built. Now, this entire system is automated. Raw material से finished product तक. It gives them a working capital cycle of 8 days. Raw material to cash and bank 8 दिन में. Berger Paints, really well-run company, 1/3 the size of Asian, top line में. Working capital cycle 45 days. Asian Paints ROCE 40, Berger ROC 25-27. AkzoNobel, the best paint in India, 1/10 the size of Asian, working capital cycle 105 days, right? ROC 16%, right? 40, 25, 16. Best paint in India, AkzoNobel, the best paint company in India, Asian Paints, right? And this barrier to entry is not just unbeatable, data किसी के पास नहीं है. This barrier to entry goes up and up and up every day. Because every day, Asian Paints sells to 55% of the country 4 times a day. 55 fours are 220. Berger sells to 20% of the country twice a day. 22s are 40. Akzo sells to 10% of the country once a day. 10 ones are 10. 10, 40, 220. हर रोज Asian Paints collects 6 to 20 times more data than anybody else. That refines the working capital even further. The forecasting of Viman Nagar gets sharper. The working capital cycle crunches further. I make more money. Right? So, the only 3 things that matter, अगर आपको पैसा कमाना है इंडिया में, the only 3 things that matter, promoter shouldn't be a chore. If promoter is a chore, भगवान बचाए आपको, भगवान बचाए मेरे को. First step, promoter shouldn't be a chore, books have got to be clean. 80% country वहीं खत्म हो जाती है. Right? Second thing, the product has to be essential for day-to-day life in India. And third thing, the barrier to entry should be as high as the Himalayas. Barrier to entry नहीं है तो पैसा नहीं बनेगा. 2 साल कमाएगा, फिर 5 other private equity funded fellows will come and take the party away. Game over है भैया वहाँ पे. 3 things matter. The barrier to entry part is hard to figure out. No broker research, no TV broadcast is going to give you the barrier to entry, and neither will the promoter tell you कि आओ बेटा मेरे से barrier to entry पता कर लो. Right? You got to work hard. It takes 2 years typically to figure out the barrier to entry. If you figure it out, the rewards are very high, right? Something like Asian Paints, you make 10x in 10 years. आज जो PE multiple थी 20 साल पहले भी वही थी, 20 साल बाद में भी वही होगी. The people who watch PE multiple can watch it for the rest of their life. This money machine, basically a monopoly money machine, will keep chugging out around 40% ROCE. The franchise doubles every 3 years. You make 10x of money in 10 years, right? So what CCP does, what Consistent Compounders does, is basically it has 13 such stocks, It has 13 such stocks. There's very little buying, selling. साल में एक stock खरीदते हैं, एक stock बेचते हैं. Part of the reason for us is it takes us 2 years to figure out these monopolies. There's only 25 stocks in India which unfortunately make the cut in terms of the investable universe. And as I said, 1 or 2 we add, 1 or 2 we get rid of. The performance is on the screen. We've done this for roughly 3 years. The latest numbers are shown on the screen. It gives you 25 odd %. The volatility of these returns are lower than a Government of India bond. So if you want to make 4x the returns of a Government of India bond with the volatility of a Government of India bond, you know who to contact, right? Let's quickly do the Bacha variant of this, right? The same thing, but sub BSE 500. Now, the reason for doing the sub BSE 500 is this. Every year, 50 stocks enter the BSE 500. Obviously 50 exit. But if you focus the 50 that enter the BSE 500, in the 3-year flight path to entering the BSE 500, the 50 entrants compound at around 50-55% per annum. So outperformance to BSE 500 is 40%, the first column of that upper chart, right? So 40% outperformance means around 50-55% CAGR in the 3 years to entering the BSE 500, right? Why does it happen? We call it the discovery effect. When a stock is 2,000 crores, 2,500 crores, the world doesn't know about it, no broker writes on it, and nobody knows about it. As a company approaches the 3,500 crore mark, 3,500 crore is the bottom of the BSE 500. As it approaches that number, 1 or 2 brokers start writing on it. And then when the first big mutual fund, right, one of these giant small cap mutual funds, HDFC, Ho, Templeton, Ho, one of these giant small cap mutual funds, when they buy the chota company, then the whole market in Bombay becomes alive and 6 or 7 brokers start writing it. The company starts getting invited to broker conferences, by prestigious brokers like Motilal, and the stock flies, right? So in effect, when the stock is a small cap, I'm now referring to the bottom far chart, when the stock is below the BSE 500, it basically trades at book value. Then it gets discovered, it goes to 3 times book value. That discovery effect gives you the 55% CAGR, right? So we figured 2 years ago that if we can get Asian Paints type quality below the BSE 500, then not only will we get the Asian Paints ka 25% return, we'll also get the discovery premium. It's basically the stock market is saying, if you have the energy and if you want to dedicate the energy and the effort to discover the next Asian Paints, आपको 25 नहीं, premium return मिलेगी 55 मिलेगा. Right? So we said, look, we don't think we can identify 50 such stocks. हर साल 50 go in. But even if we can identify 15, मजा आ जाएगा. Right? So how do we do that? Step 1 is forensic accounting. We've discussed already. Step 1 is forensic accounting. आधी world यहीं पे खत्म हो जाती है. Half their accounts. In fact, forget forensic accounting. Many of the stocks below the BSE 500 don't even publish, they don't even file their accounts with the registry, with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So they realize that itna kharab accounts hai, chhapo hi mat usko, right? So if you just then do the forensics, half the world gets wiped out. Then in the remaining stocks, there are still 500 odd stocks left. What we do is a further filter, right? This is now the middle of that flow chart. In effect, what we do is this. In CCP, I was telling you about 10% rev growth, 15% ROC. यहाँ पे उतना आसान नहीं है, यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा काम करना पड़ता है. Here you are looking for companies who over 6 years have grown revenues consistently. From revenue growth, they have generated higher profit margins. From higher profit margins, they have generated better ROC, but the ROC is also accompanied by improved working capital and improved asset turns. So rather than, if you want to sort of look at it slightly technically, rather than looking at ROC in isolation, you look at the constituents of ROC, margins, asset turns, working capital, and you're looking for improvement therein. And if you use that sort of filter, what you find is just the maths alone, no dimag, just the maths alone gives you 26% compounded. The top right chart gives you 26% compounded with no human intelligence. Just the maths alone gives you 26% compounded. Interestingly, for those who believe, there's a common notion in India, large cap investing safe hai. I hope after what I told you about accounting fraud in the Nifty, nobody in their right mind believes large cap investing safe hai. Not only do you get good returns from the little champs, the maximum drawdown, the steepest fall is no worse than what it is for the Nifty. And that to me makes a lot of sense because large cap you got raging accounting fraud. Here you are screening away the accounting fraud, right? So this is without dimag. Now, obviously, you're not going to give me money for running a spreadsheet for you, right? Also, the screen throws up 30, 35 stocks. To refine it further, to refine it to 15 stocks, we were very lucky. 2 years ago, we found this book. You can't buy the book in India, but if you go to Amazon.com, you can buy it from abroad. For some bizarre reason, you have to submit your PAN card to Amazon, but 2,000 rupees ki kitab hai. It's well worth the effort. What this book, Hidden Champions of the 21st Century by a German guy, what this does is actually very useful. He's looked at the best small companies across the world, USA, Japan, Germany, Italy, and he's found that the best small companies have 4 distinctive traits. They make a product which is essential for a large company. The large company, rather than dictating terms, is actually dependent on the chotu for supplying this essential input. That gives the chotu enormous leverage, enormous bargaining power. And the chotu uses that to deliver superior ROCs and superior returns, right? And that's what we have done. We have created a 15-stock portfolio of chota companies with very high bargaining power, very high barriers to entry. We did it with our own money for a couple of years, and then on 28th August, we opened it to clients. The returns are 30% odd absolute returns in 5 months. Volatility has been same as the Nifty. So same volatility as Nifty, returns thankfully better than the Nifty. Average market cap of the little champs is $320 million, which is 2,000 crores. These are net cash companies. ROEs are well above cost of capital, and EPS CAGR in this downturn is 22%. For anybody who believes large cap investing is a lower risk, have a look at the Nifty. Nifty companies have return on equity below cost of equity. Therefore, they don't have any cash. Because they don't have any cash, they're buckets of debt. And because debt और मिलती नहीं है, compounding engine ही dead है, Nifty EPS CAGR is all of 3%. The Nifty doesn't deliver returns not because the economy is slowed down. The Nifty doesn't deliver returns because business model ही टूट गया है. Business model पहले था, PSU बैंक के chairman को कुछ खिलाओ पिलाओ, पैसा उठाओ, and उससे earnings growth generate करो, game over है उसका. And therefore, people who are sitting in this room thinking Nifty is a return away, you'll be waiting for a long time, I'm sorry. But give us a chance in either of these portfolios. I'll stop yapping as it says time's up. Thank you, folks.